I'm talking with Tom Harrison here, composer Tom Harrison, and I guess to start off, how did you get interested in music, and what led you to film composing?
Well, I was at boarding school in Scotland from age 7 or 8, and I started playing the trumpet at 9. And then I joined. We formed a little sort of punk rock band when I was about 12. I played bass and sang, and we did a lot of Green Day songs and stuff like that. And then just through the years, I ended up doing more and more music. And then I went to Berklee College of Music in Boston, and realized that I could do the more orchestral stuff and that, and so I realized that film scoring was a really cool thing when I was at Berklee. That's when I sort of crossed over into that.
Were you ever into films growing up though? Were you aware of all the film composers and all that?
Yeah, I mean, bits and pieces. I actually when I was at boarding school, I ended up studying a lot of classical music and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
We studied Bach and Beethoven and Wagner and all of those guys, Tippett, just loads of different stuff. But not so much. Yeah, not so much film music. I sort of I did theatre for a while, so I started getting into music that told a story and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't so much from a film background as more of a theatre and classical music and stuff like that. It was more the so yeah.
And you just did the film Sidelines, correct?
Yes, yeah. I just scored a film at Chapman University, the Sidelines. Yeah, it was really fun. It was sort of a high school love story mixed in with a story of kind of the American football team. I should say the football team rather at the high school sort of thing. It's set in the 1990s. It was good.
And was it a feature or a short?
It was a short. It was about 25 minutes.
And have you done a feature yet?
I haven't done a feature myself. No, I've been working as assistant to a couple of composers.
Right, and so I've gotten the chance to talk to composers, at stages in their careers, and both you and I, we're starting out. We're out here in LA, but for composers who are starting out, I came here, I guess, with an idea before I moved out here of what it was like, and then I finally got here and realized what it's like. As an up-and-coming composer, do you have a planned path, or are you with goals, or are you kind of just taking opportunities as they come?
It's kind of probably a combination of both. I work for Snuffy Walden, who is a TV composer, and he sort of, he's talked about kind of that's sort of a path that I'll be working for him, and then eventually, sort of, in a couple of years, maybe then that'll be a good time to sort of maybe try and go for my own pilot or something like that in the television world. But yeah, so that's kind of a bit of a path, working for him and then sort of going on, hopefully to do something like that. But at the same time, if students and sort of independent filmmakers ask me to do stuff, then I'm definitely up for,
Yeah, right.
that sort of stuff as well, kind of thing. Just sort of doing those both at the same time, sort of thing.
And at being at this stage, you also have to deal with low budgets or no budgets, and and especially with music, you're even going with at that level, there's almost no money for that stuff. Has technology helped you overcome those budget restrictions?
Yeah, I think so. I was lucky with the Sidelines that they actually they were able to give me a sort of quite a good budget actually, which was really nice. Which meant that I got to hire a real drummer to play acoustic drums rather than having me program them and stuff, which was cool. So but with the technology, it's great that I can record all my guitars here at home,
right.
And all my other but the only real instrument, aside from being able to play guitar just straight into my computer, obviously the only other person I needed was drummer, because all the strings and stuff I can just program. The technology stuff. So yeah, it's definitely.
And so when you first came out here, and now it being in this industry, jumping into it, what frightens you the most, and how do you overcome those fears?
What frightens me the most? Goodness. I'm not really scared of it. I don't think. I mean, that sounds funny, doesn't it? But I mean, I don't know, I guess the one thing that's a little bit weird about it is that it's sort of, you never really know from day to day what's going to happen.
Right.
Like, shows can be cancelled, and that's quite frightening, I think. Especially, I feel like if I was a composer on a TV show that got cancelled, that would be quite,
Yeah.
Because because it's beyond your control, isn't it? I think those things just sort of happen. But yeah, that's probably the one thing. It's just you never know from day to day what's going to happen.
Yeah, uncertainty of future.
Yeah, that is the one thing. But I feel like my future sort of, globally speaking, is going to be fine. It's just like day to day, nerve-wracking. So yeah, it's all good.
So, as a writer, as a music writer, what inspires you the most when you're approaching a film? Is it the characters, the plot, the setting? I know it's a combination of everything, but what speaks to you the most when you first, like, oh, that got me the first idea? What is it?
It's a good question. Yeah, I think with the Sidelines, it was sort of the fact that there's these two characters that are sort of, it's really down to the characters, like they're sort of falling in love. But so the story is that she wants to be the kicker on the football team, but her best friend, he is the kicker on the football team, but they're sort of falling in love, but at the same time she wants to take his spot on the team. So it's this combination. So yeah, I think what I really like, that it's the story and the characters really, more than the setting. I would say, for me, I just like to try and bring out those raw emotions,
right?
Because I think that's, with music, I think that tends to be like what we're trying to do, probably, is sort of like, because the setting is sort of there, isn't it? And then the music sort of tells you what's not there, sort of
right.
The emotions and that sort of thing. Yeah, so that's what, and I just, I sort of draw from the times that I've been in that position, falling in love with a kid, and that sort of, that's where it comes from, I think, for
me. Musically, what's your favorite genre, whether it's to compose for or just to listen to? What genre speaks to you the best?
I'm definitely not one of those musicians who says, "Oh, I like everything." I think that's just a lie, isn't it? Yeah, I mean, I obviously can appreciate, the craft and everything, but I think my favorite stuff is kind of, I came from that sort of like the 90s American punk rock stuff to begin with, was my thing, and then I got really into Genesis and sort of like 70s progressive rock for a while.
Yeah.
So and obviously the Beatles and stuff, that's what goes without saying. But I think just like really great rock music with really interesting lyrics. I think there's a band called Squeeze that I really like. Just anything. Actually, a lot of the stuff I like from the rock music world is the stuff that's more visual as well, with the lyrics, and really tells a story, I think, is what I like.
And you touched on all those bands, and we're seeing this kind of trend now where rock performers and artists are kind of making their way into the film music world. Like Jack White just got hired to do The Lone Ranger. Trent Reznor and even famous composers Hans Zimmer, James Newton Howard, they all came from that Oingo Boingo with Danny Elfman. So do you see that's just as natural progression for the way music works, is from performance to that composition?
Sure, really. I think those guys probably cross over quite well. Like, for instance, like Danny Elfman is obviously a very creative guy, and he's got a lot to offer outside of his rock music. His composition stuff's amazing. I think that's just, I think currently it seems to be quite a trend. There was the guy from Radiohead did one as well, didn't he?
Oh yeah, There Will Be Blood. Yeah.
Yeah, right. So there's kind of, I think at the moment, maybe at the moment, it's just kind of cool to have a rock musician to the score. Maybe it's kind of a cool thing for the the filmmakers to hire somebody like that. But I think oftentimes too, they tend to have like a rock musician, and they'll have like a more of a traditional film composer working with them or something like that.
Right.
So
it does. I think it shines a light. I think more of a spotlight onto the film composing area, which has kind of been under the radar for most of the time. So.
Right, yeah, because now we're getting like celebrity, rock celebrities doing it. Yeah. So.
I guess a simple question, but why did you decide to become a film composer?
Why did I decide to become a film? I think what it was really was that I realised that I got told when I lived in London that I was too posh to be a rock star, which I thought was quite strange. But I think I sort of realised that, watching like the X Factor and American Idol, I sort of realised that like anybody really can be a successful performer, which is what I always wanted to be. But then I realised that I've got all this classical training and all that sort of stuff, and I realised that I did have the skills to be a film composer. Sort of, like I can do. I play the guitar and I sing, but I can do. Oh, there goes my phone. Hang on. But I should have turned that off. But I can do like the orchestration and that sort of thing. So I just thought, if I can do it, I should do it, sort of thing. And I found that I really enjoyed it.
Right.
So yeah.
And since you've been living in Los Angeles, what's the best thing that you've learned out here that maybe you wouldn't have learned if you weren't living here?
I think it's funny. It's like it's all the things I didn't expect, kind of thing. Like I think when I was first interning with Snuffy Walden, I was just had the chance to sit and watch him write to picture, and I was just kind of blown away by how kind of just how efficient that process was. Just that he would sit and watch a scene, and he would just kind of like. He could write so quickly, and it worked. And what was amazing, which is what he did, worked really well with the picture. It wasn't necessarily like, it wasn't music that like was ultra complex or anything like that. It was just literally, just laying down the perfect bit of guitar or something that really spoke to the emotions of the scene and stuff. And it's sort of, yeah, I don't know. It's sort of hard to explain, isn't it? But that was really inspiring to me that he could just do that, and that's a skill I wanted to, because it's all very well learning how to write like Ravel orchestrations and stuff, but ultimately it's more powerful to, that's what I've learned from working with those guys, is that it's more powerful to actually be sensitive to the drama and stuff like that. So.
And I guess to wrap things up, I always like to ask composers, if you had the chance to score any film ever made with no disrespect to the original composer, what movie would you choose?
Oh man, that's really tough. I always really liked Shawshank. I thought that was a great one.
That's a great, yeah.
Yeah, I loved that film. Real character-driven kind of thing, and yeah, I think that would be my answer. Yeah. Yeah,
that's a good one. I forget who. I think somebody did say that, but someone else did say it. So you're not alone in that area.
Well, that's encouraging. That's a stupid answer, then. Yeah.
But Tom, thank you so much for taking the time to do this. It was a real pleasure, and thanks for coming out to the signing that I did. That was fun too to meet there.
Yeah, that was brilliant. Yeah. Thank you for running that, and thank you for this too. It's great.
And we'll definitely be doing this in the future, and we'll check back in on you as we all progress. So
we will watch your career with great interest, Anakin. I know.